So in 2014, my wife and I visited the islands of Kauai and Oahu for our second wedding anniversary. What she thought was a romantic week-long getaway was actually a well-planned out trip to visit as many of the original Jurassic Park filming locations as possible. And while it's been nearly 7 years since that trip, and a lot may have changed, I've wanted to put together a little recap for anyone that might find it useful. My wife and I visited the islands a year before Jurassic World was released. Now while Jurassic Park has always been a popular movie, I can only imagine how tourism has increased with Jurassic Park fans since the latest films came out. Hopefully this video gives you a better understanding of what it's like to plan a Jurassic Park themed vacation. I know watching these clips myself has given me the itch to go back, hopefully sooner than later. Okay, so we just arrived here in Kauai. Our plane landed about 20 minutes ago. We got our bags and came to the rental car. We ended up getting this beautiful Jeep that my wife wanted. So yeah, there'll be a lot more stuff to come. Take the GoPro with us, so let's see what we can go find. So that first evening we arrived, we took it pretty easy as we had a lot planned for the next day. Early next morning, we headed back to Limahuli Airport where we arrived at Island Helicopters. Now while all the helicopter tours on Kauai generally take the same path around the island, Island Helicopters is the only helicopter tour permitted to land at Jurassic Falls, also known as Manawaiapuna Falls. Now if you want to take this same tour, you have to make sure you choose the Jurassic Falls Landing Adventure, as there are 2 tours and they are different costs. Back when we visited, the cost was $370 per person, and you do have to book well in advance. Now while that is a lot of money, it's definitely worth it, as right off the bat we saw one of our first filming locations on our trip. This is the breakwater that Steven Spielberg went out and filmed during Hurricane Iniki for his hurricane scenes in the film. The hour-long tour will take you all the way around the island, from the South Shore all the way up to the Napali Coast. Now Kauai is also known as one of the wettest places on Earth, so definitely expect some rain on your flight. Luckily the pilots are very experienced and assured us it was perfectly safe to be flying in these conditions. And any fear of flying is easily forgotten when the helicopter pilot starts playing that iconic Jurassic Park theme right around this point of the tour. Experiencing these moments in person is enough to make a grown man cry. I know I definitely had a lump in my throat this entire time. Now while you don't approach the falls the same way they did in the film, it's beautiful nonetheless, and definitely much safer. Now I'll let you experience the approach to the falls as I did 7 years ago.
Oh my God.
Keep in mind it's extremely wet near the falls, so be careful with any camera or sensitive equipment you might have with you. But when you're standing at the foot of the waterfall living out a childhood dream, none of that really matters. Although some of my lenses actually started developing fungus shortly after this trip. But I have no regrets, as I'll always have this footage to remind me of the time I stood at the foot of the waterfall. So we made it to my dream of landing at the waterfall here. Sorry if the lens gets foggy from all the mist.
Really wet.
It looks beautiful. Look at the sky. Sorry if all you see is up my nose. Let me wipe the lens. I saw what I came to see, so. Now while the quality of my GoPro and camcorder weren't that great, luckily I had my professional camera with me to take some higher quality shots of the falls. The short path leading up to the waterfall is also the same path that the main group takes through the first set of electrified gates, and it's just to the right of where you land on the tour. Jurassic Falls was definitely the highlight of our amazing trip, and I definitely recommend it as a bucket list item to any Jurassic Park fan. Our next stop for the day was the Costa Rican diner. We're here in Kapaa, right off Kuhio Highway. This is a big shark behind me. It's one of the locations they filmed the movie at, across the street. Let's see if you can see right there. Yeah, so right there across the street, they filmed the scene where Nedry meets Dodgson and he gets the barber salt canister to try to steal the dinosaur embryos from the park. So this is all that's left of the set where they filmed the meeting scene in Jurassic Park. These are the trees in the background that you see him eating in front of. They have a lot of little food stands set up here.
High.
It is high, but
hottest
it's beautiful.
Part so far.
It's not raining.
No rain.
But yeah, this is pretty awesome. The Nedry meeting spot is one of the easiest locations to get to, and I highly recommend it as a great stop for any Jurassic Park fan. After this, we made our way to the north side of the island to Limahuli Garden, the spot of the Raptor pen. On the way, we passed by Jurassic Kahili Ranch, which was the location of the Brachiosaurus reveal, and also used in Jurassic World for the dying Apatosaurus. This is where they filmed the Raptor pen scene in Jurassic Park, the opening scene, and then a few later on in the movie. For a small fee, you can take a tour of the garden, which gives you some great views of the landscape at a higher level. None of the sets survived, as most of them were destroyed immediately after filming, though the visitor center for Limahuli Garden is positioned almost exactly where the original Raptor pen was. And it's really cool to look up at the mountain range just like Grant did in that opening scene. After this, we called it a day, as the next morning we visit the spot of the Jurassic trees. So we're here this morning at Allerton Garden, Botanical Garden. We're going to go take a guided tour of all the plant and wildlife, and along the tour we're going to see the tree where Grant found the raptor eggs once Grant and the kids are stranded in the park.
9:30 or is it 10 o'clock?
The 10 o'clock.
Perfect. You guys are right on time. Right down that way.
Perfect.
And they'll get you checked in and banded.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The bigger trees in our gardens. You guys, when you're driving around the island, this is the outer part of it, and then there's a hard nut in the middle of it. One nut. Yeah. Macadamia nut's the most expensive nut you can get.
Is the chocolate already on there?
No chocolate on there. These are just 63 years old. They're going to double in size and outlive us, folks.
This is the spot where Grant discovered that life had indeed found a way. Also, the short road behind the trees is where the group had passed the Dilophosaurus enclosure in the Ford Explorers.
This is where they found the eggs in the movie Jurassic Park. Now, I've done so many tours the last 2.5 years. I've seen people come out of their backpacks with eggs, all kind of stuff.
So this is where Grant finds the raptor eggs with the kids. I think it's this spot right here.
There you go.
So yeah, and then the kids lean up. But check it out, we made it. We made it to the Jurassic trees, so.
Another photo op of these trees right here. Bang, yeah, right there. Boom.
One more spot on the tour is the site of the maintenance shed where Arnold meets his fate, though it's very difficult to recognize nowadays.
He was laying down right here, filming that scene in Jurassic Park where the raptors were chasing the little girl and those people. The St. Augustine grass. Amazing, yeah?
So we're heading out right now to Port Allen. We're going to get on Captain Andy's sailing dinner cruise around the Napali Coast.
Literally just left the garden.
We just left the gardens. We didn't have time to shower, so we're sticking with mosquito lotion and sunscreen, but it's all good. All of the sailing tours take off from the west side of the island, and they all focus on seeing the Napali Coast. You may run into some rough waves on your way there, so be sure to pack some Dramamine if you get seasick easily.
I'm getting a little sick, but I'm trying to manage. Looking forward is my best option.
She's doing pretty good. You wanted to do this so bad, though.
Oh my God.
To her credit, though, it is pretty rocky. The Napali Coast was used for all of the approaching shots of Isla Sorna in The Lost World. We were lucky enough to get an amazing aerial view the previous day. The views of the coastline are breathtaking in person, and it really feels like you're approaching Site B. Even though the boat ride made us a little sick to our stomachs, as you can tell by the shaky video, it afforded us some of the most picturesque views on our entire trip. Also, we apologize for all the rocky video.
Very porous, breaks up into your hand. 3,200 feet, the back wall of Hoopii, right around 3,000 feet on the map. You can actually hike.
With views like this, it's easy to imagine dinosaurs roaming free inside the island. The next day, we decided not to focus on anything Jurassic and just relax and enjoy the island. We did some snorkeling, hit up all the tourist spots, had dinner at an upscale restaurant, and just enjoyed the sights. The next morning would be our last day on Kauai before heading to Oahu. So this is our last day in Kauai. We're checking out right now of our room. There's our room, there's our neighbors right there. But that's it, so checking out our room. Next clip should probably be us in some jungle or muddy swamp somewhere. The final movie location we attempted was Hoopii Falls, the site of the amber mine. While the hike itself wasn't overly difficult, the path is extremely muddy and extremely slippery.
Say hi.
Walking sticks are highly recommended.
Freaking shoes! My God, gross.
The trail path leads to the backside of Valley House property. Valley House is also where the visitor center set was constructed, but sadly, it's on private property, which is strictly off limits to tourists. The path can get pretty narrow at points, but if you keep pushing through, you'll eventually arrive at the spot. We almost gave up a couple times because the path can get so overgrown at points.
So it looks like we made it here to the waterfall. We're going to try to maybe go down a little more.
The only way to make it down to the falls is by a very steep hillside.
Check it out, we're at Hoopii Falls. This is where Gennaro, the stream he came up. Right down here they pulled him in, through the rope. They were working here on these things. The amber mine was over there. So we made it to Hoopii Falls. This is the scene where Gennaro gets pulled up on the little raft to talk to the miners, and they're mining here. So happy right now. Super cool. There you go. Actually made it.
This location was second only to the waterfall because of the effort it took to get there. I didn't expect to be as thrilled as I was, but it was an incredible way to end our time on Kauai. Later that evening, we'd take a short 30-minute plane ride to Oahu. So as our trip was about 8 months before the release of Jurassic World, there hadn't even been a trailer released up to that point. A few leaks had been bouncing around fan sites, and one of them was that the big bad dinosaur of the film was called the Diabolus Rex, or D-Rex. This would eventually be known as Indominus Rex. A source I had in Hawaii gave me the coordinates of where I could find the new dinosaurs paddock set, and we figured we'd give it a shot, though we really didn't know exactly what we were looking for.
So here we are again, getting into more trouble. Almost getting hit by cars behind us, as you can see. We parked at a little macadamia nut farm, and we're trying to walk to see the D-Rex paddock that we saw from the side of the road. Now, this hasn't been seen in any movie yet, because it's from the new movie that's coming out next year. But I know from following all the fan sites, and actually someone living here in Oahu told me where to find it, and we did see it driving by, so we're going to go try to get a closer look, take some pictures. We found the D-Rex paddock, and now we can't really go any further because it'd be trespassing. But if you look way out there in the distance, I really doubt you can see it on the GoPro. Since it's wide angle, you can see it. They haven't taken the set down here in Oahu on Kauloa Ranch, so we were lucky enough to see it before it gets torn down. So it'll be awesome after seeing the movie, see how they use it in what capacity. So that's it. Nancy, zoom in a little more over there, you can see it. We'll walk a little further and see if maybe we can get a better view. Amazing.
My wife was too scared to hike down and get a better view, but luckily it wasn't torn down and is now part of the Kauloa Ranch Jurassic Tour. We opted for ATVs and got to drive right into the heart of Gallimimus Valley. Kauloa Ranch has been used for hundreds of movies and shows dating back many decades, but nothing more iconic than this scene here. Even Godzilla has stomped his way through this part of the island. The ATV tour gave us incredible views of the mountain range, which was heavily used in Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom. We even passed the gyrosphere set after this, but wouldn't know what it was until the film came out. I can't reiterate enough how beautiful the Hawaiian Islands were. It's like nothing else I've ever experienced. Now the one spot you'll have no trouble recognizing is the stampede log where the T-Rex bursts out of the trees while hunting the Gallimimus. The original log has since rotted away, but has been replaced with a similar one in the same location. And they'll give you plenty of time here to take full advantage of this awesome photo op. This spot was the end of our tour, as well as the end of our Hawaiian vacation. We had an incredible time and made lifelong memories that we will always cherish. Being on those islands instilled a sense of wonder in me the same way Jurassic Park did when I was a child. You don't even have to be a fan of the film to appreciate the beauty in all the spots we visited. Now as a parent myself, I hope I can eventually return to the islands and share in its beauty with my family.
It's pretty cool.
Hopefully you enjoyed this look back and found it entertaining. Let me know if you've ever visited the islands or are planning to. There were still a lot of spots we weren't able to visit while there, but if I eventually ever make it back, I guarantee they'll be first on my list. Thanks for watching, guys.